Dallas has just been on a tear. I believe we can attribute that to Jason Robertson. Also, Jake Ottinger, who's really stepped in.
Yeah, so we can compare a rookie QB to a toddler. Hayward's absence for this game will be significant, and I wouldn't be surprised if this game turns into a blowout as of late.
The Golden Knights just can't pull it. I really think the Avalanche are determined this year.
They made so many moves and grabbed so many guys that they have to win a championship or at least make the finals. They were on our championship and bust.
The same self, the only year he won an MVP was the year he cheated, which really should put something against that MVP. But
yeah, and as a Cowboys fan, I have learned how dangerously good Aaron Rodgers has been with he can just thread a pass.
Hello, I am Ruby Ackerman, and you are listening to Outsider's Opinion with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA opinions of the week. We're talking about who's the biggest disappointment, but this is really just focused on two teams, really bad seasons. Two teams we talked a lot about. One, especially in 2025 with the Mavs trade of Luka Doncic, and then the Suns just this entire season, Austin.
Yeah, this is only in regards to the 24-25 season. And in technicality, as we're recording this, the Mavs season isn't over. The day that this is posted, the Mavs will play tonight, and we'll see, obviously, if their season comes to an end. And you know what? If they go on the craziest run in NBA history and win a title, obviously they would be a disappointment. But I think we both know that that's not a very likely thing to happen.
Yeah.
And the reason really why I thought about this, Kevin, is I just remembered the Luka staring at Devin Booker meme in my head.
Yeah.
And now both teams are sad, right? It's the Suns and Mavericks, at least for my time following basketball, for the majority of it, have been pretty heated rivals, I would say. They've met in a fair amount of playoff series, and they definitely do not like each other. And now both kind of look like jokes at this point in time.
Yeah, and I would say bigger disappointment because the Mavs are a joke, but I think it's just we know how this joke ends. It's the beginning of the joke, and you're like, we see how this is going to end for the Mavs. And as we're recording, the Nico Harrison stuff is just that's completely awful. Like I don't view this as the same Mavs team in that Suns, and they became rivals. And during that Kyrie, because you have the Kyrie and Kevin Durant beef from the Nets and their time with the Nets, you have it when the Mavs lost against the Suns that would have gotten them close to the playoffs, and you have Luka and Devin Booker getting in each other's face. But I would say the iconic rivalry is when Luka, in that improbable Western Conference run with Luka and the Mavs, when they beat the number one Suns pretty handedly in Game 7. It was just a weird series. But to kind of answer the question, I would say the bigger disappointment this season is the Suns, given that the Mavs, for how bad they are, even though they are in the play-in, they traded away their superstar. The Suns, this is basically the same roster. It's just they've dealt with injuries, and I think it really goes to the team building aspect of how they just weren't able to compete. The Mavs is you trade away the superstar, and you still make the playoffs, and you get a good player, but it's injured. I'm going to side with the Suns because I think you have a pretty healthy roster. You have more star players and higher expectations. Well, I don't know. Like they were not close to the play-in at all, and that's why the Mavs secured a play-in spot. Is the Suns were just that bad,
which kind of speaks again to the who's the bigger disappointment because all this happened to the Mavs, and they were without Luka a long time before they traded him, over a month, right? So they played the majority of the season without Luka and still got a better record than the Suns. And that's what the Suns. Sure, there were injuries, but they didn't trade anyone massive, and they still had more games of Durant or Booker than Luka played with the Mavs this season. So you have to wonder, or at least question, who's actually the bigger disappointment for this season alone. Not looking forward, just based on 2025 metrics, who is the bigger disappointment? But there's also the fact that the Suns didn't have as good of a season last year as the Mavs did. The Mavs obviously made it to the finals, lost in 5 to the Celtics. And so their fall from grace has been larger, but again, they still finish above the Suns without their I was going to say best player, but that's again they traded him, but without the guy that they started the season with that was supposed to be their go-to guy.
Yeah, and I would say there's both disappointments, but I think the Luka disappointment is going to just happen in the future even more. This is, to me, going to be the best map the Mavs are for the next 5 years. Like, I do not see this happening. Suns, I do think, get better.
But they're in a bad spot. They have contracts they don't want. They have contracts that are going to be extremely hard to get rid of. You don't know what you're going to do with Booker. I think the Suns are on a similar trajectory. Even though they didn't make as great of a mistake as the Mavs obviously did.
Yeah, this is kind of, I would say the mistake is trading for Kevin Durant. Well, I would say I think the biggest mistake is trading for Bradley Beal because of that contract. And you already had Kevin Durant and Devin Booker.
I just think they got greedy, and that kind of was their downfall. Whether it's KD, I think they should have kept Chris Paul. Chris Paul played all 82 games this year, started, and was a solid guy. I know that's maybe not who you want at this point if you're contending, but both of these teams, the Mavs and the Suns, went to a finals in the recent past, and resulted in a loss. And then while the Suns were more competitive than the Mavs after their loss in the finals, it still is a disappointment to see them this quickly after their finals run be this bad. So
yeah,
I think I saw a thing that the Suns are the only team in the NBA that is not in the play-in playoffs and doesn't have a first-round pick.
Yeah. So
I saw that
too.
That's something that you can't really mistake. I mean, it's just really bad.
It's so bad.
I'll leave it up to the viewers regarding who's the bigger disappointment for this season. I think for the next 10 years it's the Mavs, right? But if I could see either team being the bigger disappointment for this season. It's been a year that everyone would hope didn't happen between their fans for these teams, but that's obviously not the case. We'll have to see how it looks going forward, but just very, very disappointing years for these teams when they probably anticipated a lot better of a season.
Yeah, I agree. You make great points for both, and it is really tough. But yeah, easily in the future, it's easily the Mavs for sure. Like to me, like this has just decimated the franchise. I think just trading away, getting that, because the Suns can get picks back, and a lot of their picks back. If you trade Devin Booker, you'll probably still get a lot of picks back if you trade Kevin Durant. Mavs, you're not going to get much for AD.
I don't think you get as much as you think for KD. KD's kind of in a similar boat as AD, in my opinion. AD's like 5-6 years younger, and while both have been injury prone, AD I think has more healthy years left than KD does. So I think those are very similar. But the Booker is where you say you get picks back, right? So, yeah. And they're honestly going to get more picks for Booker than the Mavs got for Luka. That's the crazy part.
I think they can get. I think they get the same amount of picks the Mavs got for Luka in a KD trade. The problem is, do you get a type of player like AD? But
no. I look, AD. His game may dwindle offensively, but it's going to be really hard to make him bad on defense. So I think that AD has more value going forward than KD does, but still, it's the fact that you traded Luka. I mean, the Suns are just going to be in a better situation. But again, for this season, there was so much high expectations, and there's no guarantee you're going to win a title anyway. Looking forward for the Suns, so. They go through this era of time, whether you trade Booker or not, without a title, it's pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is heartbreaking. And both teams, relatively new owners, Matt Ishiba and then Patrick Dumont for the Mavs.
I will say that I don't think Suns fans hate.
Yeah.
And maybe they're displeased, but it's not like hatred.
Yeah, like the Mavs are.
Yeah.
Like I've disowned the Mavs. But yeah, Matt Ishiba just went like every owner's like, I'm just going to get a bunch of star players. And it did not work. But now he'll probably go, understood. And no No players I think are going to hate. I think players are going to hate the Mavs. I don't think you see a high-profile player come to the Mavericks with Patrick Dumont and just the kind of way they spoke about Luka when he left. No, when he got kicked out. Just kind of the remarks that were said were insane. And just like, you'd never say that. I think the Suns definitely have a better future. It's tough. I still think the Suns, but you make a good point with the Mavs and their disappointment. But it is a close call. That's all I got. I'll let you close this one out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please let us know who the bigger disappointment is for just this season. In 24-25 NBA season, who's the bigger disappointment? Like we said, the Mavs season's still going on, and we'll see how that works out. But I think we both know where that's going. Thank you guys for listening.